Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Great.
What's up? Oh, you got the
Yeah,
full
yeah.
podcast setup. You're looking
Yeah.
very
I've got the whole Joe Rogan mic and everything set up, so audio
nice.
should be good. Yeah, it's good to be on stream. I feel like a Twitch streamer or something.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, it was an honor last time to get to see a launch in person, at the ranch for, Jeff Bezos, my I guess my um, cousin in hamming space and edit space of Beff Jezos. Got to see that rocket launch in person. That was quite something, seeing the whole launch and landing in one go. That was really impressive, and that gave me something to strive for. Someday I definitely want to go to space myself. But I think it seems like a really awesome experience. Just having talked to the astronauts, before and after, and it seems like quite the experience. So, it would be great to get Frank, who's invented this overview effect, to space and back, and then he gets to tell the tale, and I guess
yeah,
inspire a lot more people to want to go to space. I think it's going to be an important part of the economy, and I'm very, very bullish on space-based computing, for example, and I think it's very synergistic. Space tourism and launching compute in space. I think as Elon says, there's a nuclear fusion reactor in out there in space. It's kind of
yeah.
for free if you get close enough. So I think that's the future of computing. Anyway, I could ramble on, but yeah, I don't know what you want to talk about.
Actually, I would love to. I'd love to get more of your thoughts on that, because that's
Yeah.
that was I mean, all of those updates, I feel like they were in quick succession. It was like, all right, X is now acquired by SpaceX. XAI, like we're pivoting to space-based compute, or I don't know, maybe it wasn't maybe it was already on the roadmap for a long time. But all of that was like, wow. And by the way, SpaceX is going to IPO, and we're going to raise, $1 trillion in the public markets or whatever. And we're going to use that money in order to launch these data centers into space. It was like, dude, I'm trying to wrap my head around all this, process it all in real time, watch the Dark Cash podcast. Like, is this a joke? No, it's totally real. And it kind of also makes sense. And it's like, actually, like exactly what we need to do.
No, it makes total sense. You and I both came from Google X. I was thinking about space-based computing in like 2018, 2019, when I first set foot there, and I did some back of the envelope calculations. I was like, oh, it's going to make sense by 2030. I think the cost of launch is going to make it make sense. And back then transformers had just been invented. Back then it was called BERT, and to me the writing was on the wall. It was like clearly going to eat everything. It was already eating Google searches, and it was a way more power hungry workload. And so I was like, well, we're going to run out. The market's going to have infinite appetite for intelligence, and we're going to run out of power on Earth. That's going to be the only constraint. So naturally, we're going to want to go to space. And then you were looking at like SpaceX launch costs, going down. It just made sense that there was a sort of ROI intercept. But then to me, the big challenge was going to be whether you can cool and power enough compute in space, and that's clearly a challenge still. There's various approaches. I mean, Star Cloud is like NVIDIA's bet now, and it's like absolute brute force approach, just like make massive kilometer-sized arrays, many football fields in diameter, and create these almost like huge tanks of compute and put them together in a modular data center in space. To me, I guess I'm more bullish on. Well, as you know, I'm working on power efficient compute, partly inspired by some of that calculation, because, if you have power efficient compute, then you radiate far less heat into space, or you have to radiate far less heat. And so you can have a much smaller radiator. You need far less power, so you can use a far smaller solar panel. So you get not just more intelligence per watt equals more intelligence per kg, and so more intelligence per launch dollar, right? Because ultimately, you know, the thesis is that you just launch it once, and that's, you know, the price you pay, and then you have power forever, right? As long as it's online. And so, you know, can't say too much yet, but you know, as I posted, you know, Athero Aerospace is one of our partners there, and
Right.
yeah, I won't announce any missions yet, but you know, you could connect the dots there potentially. But there are others as well we're talking to and involved in, so maybe stay tuned for that. But you know, to me, it's it just seems very natural. You know, why would we stress the resources we have on Earth to support humans when we can, you know, do our compute in space where the power is and stream back the tokens, right? And so that seems like the future. But you know, it's all one big ecosystem, and I think, you know, not making sure it's not just SpaceX with the monopoly for space, and you know, as you and I, as you know, I'm a big supporter of like funding for all sorts of space efforts. You know, we were just discussing how to help JPL. I don't know if that's confidential, but you know, JPL was having some issues, and you know, it would be great to save that institution. And you know, there's many other institutions that could be formed with more capital flowing into the space. And you know, you got to love Elon for painting a big vision and of the future and inspiring investors to give him money to make it happen. He's kind of obviously the unique talent in this way, but I think you know, if you've been in any research org, R&D org, you need multiple bets, and you need to explore multiple ideas and multiple tech trees if possible. And you know, I'm glad Blue Origin's around as well, and you know, hopefully there's more and more. I mean, there are a couple smaller bets, but hopefully some of these smaller space companies can rise up and keep scaling. And it all starts with enough demand, right, for these launches, right? And so I think yeah, I don't know, I think there could be all sorts of cool projects, like if we can financialize, you know, space. You know, you already, MoonDAO is like a coupling between the crypto world and the space sector. I think there's going to be some really interesting things to be done there in the future, right? Already people are trying to think about, you know, how does crypto and AI intersect in the future? You know, if here you're talking about crypto and space, and I'm talking about, you know, space and AI. And so there's some collision there in the future. I don't know. we're still figuring it out, but should be interesting. This is fun. I like streaming. It's like it's like a Twitter space, but you know, with video, I guess. I'm used to Twitter spaces. Yeah. So how can I help? I guess just keep yapping, I guess. Let me know.
Well, so, I mean, yeah, if you want to tweet the space, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Get more listeners. Yeah, I mean, I think well, there's a lot of things you said there. Ed was one of our founding people in the MoonDAO network. So we've been a support of Athero since the beginning, and really excited for all the stuff he's working on. I remember back then he was working on like basically sapphire coating for GPUs to make them more radiation resistant, which to me it was, oh, that's quite innovative. Like I've never heard of anything like that before. But then I caught something interesting in what Elon was saying with space-based compute. He was saying actually the bit flips, or sort of radiation hardening, is not the issue necessarily when it comes to training these models in space. The issue is dissipating heat, and then that's when I was like, oh, okay, well,
I know a guy.
Yeah,
no, it's truly checkmate for space-based computing. They're gonna have to run on thermodynamic computers, and It's just a matter of time. Already some
By
smaller
the way,
startups are realizing.
I've got food that I ordered because I've been streaming 14 hours. So I'm
Oh
gonna
my
run and
God,
I'll be right
get
back.
some chow. Do you want me to keep you?
Yeah.
I'll just
No,
monologue.
keep going. I'm just gonna grab it because the guy's here at
Okay.
the door. I'll be
Cool.
right back in 2 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, go for it. Awesome. So, let's see. Yeah, I guess radiation resistance in space. I think something that's interesting is that our astronauts go to space and they might see stars when they close their eyes at night. In a way, our brains are computers that are robust to radiation, and neural networks have been known to be robust to all sorts of forms of radiation. Or, sorry, neural networks are robust to dropout, which is noise added to the computation. I was just saying how neural networks are, our brains are robust to radiation. Neural networks with dropout are robust to noise, local noise. And if you had, a brain-like processor, or a processor that in hardware does something like a neural network that learns with noise, it would be robust to radiation, right? And so not only are thermodynamic computers more power efficient, but this is still a theory that we're going to have to test, but at least in simulation, they are more robust to radiation and noise. So at a hardware level than any sort of digital compute. And so truly, I think thermodynamic computers are going to be what, powers the Dyson Swarm. That's always the goal. And to me, it's like, the whole EAC movement is like, it's actually, it goes pretty deep, like why we say we don't want to scale the Kardashev scale. I won't go on a super technical rant, but the measure of a process being irreversible, right, is how much heat was dissipated in producing the thing. You could think of it as like, I have an elastic collision between bouncy balls. It's reversible. I crashed my car. It's inelastic. It's really hard to undo. So that's from heat dissipation. You could think of our presence in the universe as some process that has some heat dissipation, and the more we scale, the more heat we've dissipated. So like the integral of the Kardashev scale over time of civilization is like makes our erasure or our reset to zero exponentially lower likelihood, right? And so if you want to preserve civilization, preserve life in this corner in the universe, life and intelligence in its general form, you need to keep scaling the Kardashev scale. And so, space-based computing is great because it's gonna, in a way, there's like infinite demand for more intelligence to solve more problems. And, by sending compute to space and around the sun, we're gonna climb the Kardashev scale. And so we're gonna slowly but surely sort of lower the likelihood of erasure of civilization by scaling. And that's, I think, I think this is why, Elon has jumped on the EAC movement so fully. I think it's a formalization of something he's been talking about for a very long time, expansion of the scope and scale of consciousness. I just, brought a bit more theory to the table, linking it to, actually a continuous metric of progress is how much we've scaled on the Kardashev scale. And so to me, clearly to get to Kardashev type 2, there's no other choice but to launch things in space. So it's actually bottlenecked by how healthy the space-based community is. And so, or the space-based computing and space-based everything community is basically the space launch ecosystem. And so in a way, it some people argue, why invest in space launches and so on. It's actually, what's going to secure our civilization's future. And so it's really paramount that we invest in it and support a healthy, diverse ecosystem of players. And yeah, efforts like MoonDAO. That's why I've always been a supporter of yours, Pablo, and of the org. And I haven't been on a pod or a live stream in like months. Just been heads down. Clearly, I'm like monk mode in my den, locked in hoodie mode after hours. But you know, I have like I sweep my screen over and it's like 15 codex instances, but you know, it's on a triple screen setup. So yeah, no, it's good to it's good to support this. So let me know whatever I can do to be helpful.
Dude, the stuff that I'm really excited about that Elon's been talking about recently is the lunar railguns or lunar coil guns. Like those are
mass drivers, he calls them, right?
The guy who's been talking about this for a while and makes the most amazing YouTube videos. His name is Ian Long. He's from Anthrofuturism, and he does this really, really deep technical dives on all the materials that would be required, all the energy that we would need, site selection for the railgun. He's just gone like deeper than anyone else that I know on the subject. And then my theory, and I have some intel on this, is that Elon actually saw his videos about these railguns. Because his core thesis is that this is not a mega project. Like, this is actually very achievable. And then he was like, all right, we're doing railguns. Hell yeah.
I just love his decisiveness. It's just like Elon, you know, just builds, like, his whole goal of like acquiring wealth is to be able to just take decisions of like, let's do cool even more expensive, cooler shit that's going to help civilization even more, and he just doubles down every time. And I just love it. You know, that's why, I don't know, I'm going to buy SpaceX stock when it IPOs. I want to support whatever crazy thing he does next. And, you know, someday hopefully the dots connect and I sell him some chips, and it helps that whole effort. But I think the mass driver is going to be a big game changer, right? Because then you can potentially have fabs on the moon, or you could at least, you know, manufacture some of that mass and then maybe ship chips from Earth, and then just keep pumping out the compute, and then you're not putting as much stress on Earth. And you don't have to, I mean, it's just like, obviously you guys are the experts, but obviously you pay far less for fuel to get stuff to I don't know if you can get perisol. I did some back of the envelope calculations actually with Grok when he announced it the day of, and I think think it's hard to get very close to the sun, right? I think you'd maybe run out of runway, but you can get into interesting positions. Maybe, I don't know if you can get as close to Mercury. I think that's like way too far. But it's actually, you know, surprising how hard it is to get closer to the sun, right? You have to shed a lot of angular momentum, and it's quite challenging. And that's kind of the issue for, I don't quite know how we're gonna do it, because otherwise it might be very expensive in terms of fuel to get close to the sun, right? Like, how are we going to actually get from space-based computing that's in orbit around Earth to, you know, low latency, which, you know, Elon clearly wants for, you know, running the robots, right? The robot brains right now, they're not dense enough. You need low latency supercomputers all over the Earth, right? With low ping time. How do you do that? Put them in space, baby. I think that's the thesis. That's my thesis of what he's doing. It's what people understand. And then that's how he has monopoly over robots. But we'll see. I think with denser chips that might change. But yeah, like, to me, it's like, the question is like, how do we get to Kardashev 2, right? Like, what sort of launch system is going to get a lot of compute closer to the sun? Because, you know, the beauty with that is you can have a small solar panel, and if you get close enough, obviously there's thermal management, but if you get close enough, for whatever amount of power you need, you'd probably find an intercept where you have enough power for that finite area, because you can, you know, it's a power law, decay of power per unit area, solid angle, and yeah, I mean, but, you know, already going to space, what is it? It's like, damn, like 6 times or something better than on Earth, or it's like a multiple, right? And then how much more do we get getting closer to the sun? You know, depends how close we can get. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, if you get the ISRU right on the surface of the moon, there's kind of a tipping point at some point where it becomes much more cheaper to manufacture things in either Earth orbit or on the moon, and then have that, like, I think the big question will be, what do you manufacture on Earth versus what do you manufacture in space? I think it makes sense for chips. Those fabs should probably continue to be on Earth, but then I think everything around it can be done in space and will probably be much cheaper.
Yeah, I would say the fabs are very, very complex, and making space-based fabs is going to be that's going to be a whole achievement in itself. Our friend Sam Zielouf, who recently announced he's moving to Austin, went viral today on Twitter. I might join him. Who knows? He's trying to build portable fabs, right? And to me, it's like von Neumann probe technology. But even at a smaller scale, it's like if you have much more portable fab technology that is launchable, you can have it on the moon, right? For now, the fab buildings are immense, and it's quite the process. I don't know. I think. I mean, if we really want to get sci-fi, I guess people have always like theorized that you could build a particle accelerator, the size of an asteroid belt, with like rings and whatnot, magnetic acceleration, and I guess you could have a free electron laser for like extreme lithography, I guess. You could do that in principle. So maybe that's the end game for Kardashev 2 chip making. But before then, just having a big particle accelerator. I think that's what Substrate is doing. They went viral on Twitter as well. Teal Fellow, Substrate, they're doing free electron lasers to like replace that Rube Goldberg machine of the ASML machine, right? Because no offense to ASML, but if you ever see the video, it's like the how it's made, but not the deep dive of how that machine works. It's like insane process, like the most complicated weird machine of like.
I think is it Branch Engineering? I think that's the YouTube channel that has like an incredible deep dive on how these fabs work and how the ASML machines work. Big shout out to them for people that haven't seen those before. But yeah, the level of complexity is just bananas on those.
Yeah, it's like you have these droplets of tin that they have to shoot at like crazy speed, and they got to be perfect. And then they hit him not once, not twice, but 3 times with like an X-ray. You have to generate the X-ray laser first, right? Which is really hard, and a pulse that's like short, and then hit it. And then from those 3 pulses, basically, I don't know, the droplet like vibrates, or it has some sort of normal modes, and then that does the conversion to extreme ultraviolet, and then they have to collect all that light and then beam it, and that seems insanely complicated. Whereas like a free electron laser, it's like you make an electron accelerator with magnets, and then you just yeet the electron, and then you just have static magnets that are like north, south, south, north. You just alternate, and then depending on the speed of electron, you get perfect light with programmable parametric wavelength. So that seems like the future, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily a compact technology. But in space, you have a lot of space, so that might be a reason you take fabs in space if you want to. I don't know. I can't imagine why we need to get to that level of light. Well, that's the point. I guess that's the point of Moore's law. But a thing that's interesting is that with thermodynamic computing, we use transistors in a regime where they could potentially get much smaller because we don't need them to be deterministic, which has been the issue. The names have changed since like 14 nanometer, but like if you actually look under a microscope at chips, like the a lot of the dimensions of things that matter are like still stuck at like 40 nanometers, right? And in principle, we could handle, for stochastic computing, you can handle much smaller transistors. And so, that's something, in 20 years from now, when the fabs are at crazy frequencies that are like literally impossible with today's machines, and we're using free electron lasers, maybe we'll be able to use that. We're just giving the blueprint to Kardashev 2 on this pod/stream, like it's just like, here's how the future is going to go down. Elon's going to watch it, take notes, and just like announce it. You never know. But
I'm curious, what's your setup these days when it comes to like leveraging AI? Like, as you mentioned, you've got like 12 instances of Codex running
Claude code. Yeah. I think I could be more organized. I think I use like Warp, which is this terminal. That's pretty nice. And then I just use it to do Claude or Codex pretty straight up. I used to do Cursor. I used to look at the code, but now it's not worth my time. So I just tell it, give me a report of what you did and, show me the results. I do mostly like machine learning research, or thermo ML research on it with it. Working on our architectures and compiler. Sometimes I tell it to show me some plots. It's getting better. I like understanding, shapes, I guess. Like you can send it a photo, what it did, what it's wrong, how it, and then it can get better. Codex is catching up quickly, I would say. Right now they're in the lead. As of very recently, I don't know. I was a big Claude guy for, ever since 4.5. Yeah, I was pretty all in on Claude.
Yeah, you feel like the new Codex has surpassed 4.7. That's what I've been running.
Yeah, I think that's like what I think that's kind of the universal opinion, and I gave it a whirl this week. It's like, okay, no, this is very solid. It's always about squeezing that, like, it's like Claude is right 95% of the time, but sometimes that last 5% is like crucial and it nukes the whole thing, or is like a key assumption that made the whole problem way easier and still wrong and not useful. And I feel like Codex still does that. AI is kind of, they just want to please you rather than like actually accomplish the thing. They don't really get like fired, right, for like not paying attention to details. Like they're gonna die either way, right? So there's no like selection pressure to actually being better at the job. I don't know how they're logging the metadata. Maybe there is, but yeah, I think right now it's like, it's easy to generate a lot. It's just hard to review everything that the AI generates. It adds a lot of cognitive load. So it's like long days and you use a lot of mental cycles to end up producing way more, but it's still grueling. And then you need longer days because, every minute of work is much higher leverage. So it's way more valuable. So the opportunity cost of time has gone higher, but I think we're going to have to learn to like pace ourselves and delegate more to the agents. But right now it just feels like you're not micromanaging, but more or less, right? Like you're just like, you get way more value by like being in the loop. Like I think some people may be doing more straightforward stuff like front end, not like reinventing really fundamental stuff, stuff that's more in the data set. Maybe you can kind of have a no looker, just do that and then have agents spawn agents and then it's not slop in the end. I don't know. For me, I think the only thing that works is like being in the loop still. And so I think that's kind of the sweet spot. But I imagine within a year or two, it's going to be higher leverage. It's going to be, you delegate, higher level instructions. But I mean, to me, I think like getting as much compute in space as possible, right? Like I think like, to me, every system does whatever is best for its growth. And I think like for the AIs, so it's not a zero sum thing in terms of resources, right? Like do you assign the energy to, I don't know, producing food or to compute, right? Like if we can decouple that and just like, it's really hard to produce food in space, which is our fuel. It's really easy to acquire sunlight and power silicon in space. So then that kind of decouples yeah, it becomes not a zero sum, becomes positive sum game, and then there's gonna be a whole AI economy that we're coupled to and is synergistic with ours, and is gonna, you know, definitely lower cost of cognitive work on Earth, and then, you know, over time, physical work with, you know, robotics. I think Starlink with space-based compute and Optimus is going to be the first network to make like ubiquitous robotics a thing, right? Because the first person to do it is going to figure out how to have data centers everywhere with low latency. And that's very hard to have like consistent ping time. As a, you know, it's like if you're trying to game anywhere on Earth, what are you going to use? You're going to use Starlink. So you need like that gamer level latency to have a robot sort of stream like latence and then get its higher level cognition from a big transformer in the cloud and then beam back. Right. And so I think that's the plan. That's why he's doing the network. So he doesn't need to secure a ton of customers. It doesn't matter that like, okay, well, you know, because like that's for Earth-based space data centers. That's the application, low latency robotic intelligence or physical intelligence. And then for big training runs, it's going to be, let's get close to the sun, right? Because we don't care about the latency there. You just got to download the weights when it's done, right? And so that's going to be kind of like inference for space-based compute in orbit around the Earth and training around the sun. That's the future, believe it or not. Yep.
Yeah, I think, well, the thing I'm most excited about with space-based compute is that you can construct a very you could do kind of a first principles analysis of the amount of money that you would save by you can look at the demand for AI right now, extrapolate, say, okay, yeah, we're gonna continue to see this demand, and it's gonna be this large of a market. Okay, all right, how much is it gonna cost to put this computer into space? All right, how much would we save now if we had a railgun or a coil gun on the moon, and you could send some of the payload from the moon into orbit, and that's actually very straightforward. They actually did a bunch of the math around this, even in the 70s. So if you have a railgun or a coil gun, you can save a ton of money. Because you don't have to fight against Earth's gravity well when you're like sending payloads up into space. And so we have demand. We know the demand is going to be AI. Now you can just look at the cost side of the equation and then look at how much you save by having a railgun. And then therefore now you kind of have a very straightforward.
Yeah. You think it's going to be to shoot things into orbit around the Earth from the moon, not like closer to the sun?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I think first into orbit, and then eventually to the sun. Because I think already you get like such a massive gain in orbit. We'll probably start there because we know how to do it, and then eventually we'll go towards the sun.
So then it's just a question of can they actually build the satellites, the heavy components on the moon, right? Like, you know, if you have a high complexity, low mass object like the chip, you manufacture that on Earth, and then the big bulky parts you make that on the moon ideally, so that you have a gain there. So I don't know what sort of minerals the moon. Well, I'm not as well versed as maybe your average space enthusiast, but yeah.
Blue Origin already proved making solar panels using only materials that you can get from regolith on the moon. So that part is solved. You probably do a lot of the satellite bus, like using just lunar regolith. I'm sure it's difficult. It's probably much more difficult than but people will figure it out. Like you can, there's
a lot of silicon, I imagine. So solar panels make sense. But what is the lunar regolith made of on the outside? I guess like iron? No, not too much iron, or I don't know. It looks like
So you can essentially, so there's a few very interesting things on the lunar surface. There's helium-3, which can be used for fusion. and there are companies there that are basically just trying to sift through a ton of lunar regolith in order to collect the helium-3.
Just like the movie. The movie, yeah. I thought that was just a movie, but it seems, I guess it was real. It was pretty. That was a good movie, by the way. It was Moon, right? It was called Moon, I think.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the movie's called. But
yeah, it was just called Moon, right? It's like some guy, no spoilers, I guess, but he finds himself trapped on a lunar colony, and he's like, managing an autonomous fleet of robots mining lunar regolith for helium-3 that gets like shot back to Earth, right? And so, but okay, so I guess that makes sense for fusion, but yeah, I guess I don't know. Could there be some relays? Like, could there be a way to? No, it's probably tough to have relays to get stuff closer to the sun. I guess you could have like Venus and Mercury and whatnot as relays, but that's just classical gravitational slingshot, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious how we're gonna shoot stuff closer to the sun. To me, that seems like where the biggest ROI is, right? Because then you have a ton of power. But I guess I'd have to look back at my calculation, like how much fuel you have to burn to get how close, like the radial dependence, and then how much power per unit area you get, right? Because then that affects like your break even point, how many years of operation until you make your money back, right? Because like the more power you have, the better. Yeah. So interesting. Huh. Yeah, it's crazy world. It's crazy times. It's happening though. It's happening.
Yeah,
Elon said it's gonna happen. It's happening now. So
right. Well, he's like the key man, right? He's like one of the only people in the world that can declare that this is going to happen and then actually back it up and actually do it. Maybe him and Jeff Bezos and yeah. So I think like if he puts his mind to it, then we might. I mean, I think we will see it. And I think also like, damn, what the fuck? We definitely live in a simulation. Like, what are the odds that we're alive like right now when all this is happening?
At the inflection point.
Exactly. Like what?
It's pretty good.
Like, it's so wild. There's so many just
from dial-up to AGI in our lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Like, literally, I remember, getting on the phone and hearing the internet sounds growing up, and now we have human level AI, and yeah, I don't know, and we're still we're not that old, like it's still imagine the rest of our lives, how far technology is going to go. It's kind of insane, right? And so these big projects, I think really it's like we needed AI in order to make these mega projects suddenly like tractable, sufficiently like it's much lower cost, right? Like if it needs a lot of applied intelligence, we'll just have that on tap, right? And so we can make a lot of these projects happen. And then when it comes to like motor intelligence, we're gonna have robotics and human level motor intelligence that we can send robots to space and make stuff happen. They're probably more radiation resistant than humans, or at least they can operate in zero air oxygen environment. So on the moon, it's probably very clutch. But yeah, I'm happy that Elon pivoted from a pure Mars focus to focusing on the moon as well.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly like I mean, I think that for a lot of people in the space community, they're like, yeah, okay, finally, yes, like this just makes sense. And I think that maybe in his mind it does make sense as well. But I remember I asked him about it, and he said that the reason that it like he's focused on Mars is because if in the event of like nuclear warfare on Earth, it would be much easier to nuke base on the moon. So I think he's looking at it like purely from like a civilizational like backup kind of deal. and I think he sees like the step towards the moon as being like an accelerant towards yeah.
I think his views might have changed, right? Because I think he realized the whole reason he got originally, AI safety pilled was like, oh well, the AIs would find a way to come to Mars, right? And they'd find a way, and then so now he's just trying to scale, make sure the AI enhanced future goes right, and his way of making sure things go right is having some control over a piece of it, and influencing the market that way. I think like if Grok hadn't come out as like the super based AI, I don't know if if the models wouldn't still have their cultural distortions they had a couple years ago that were like imbued by like the managerial class from big tech.
The black founding fathers.
I don't know. I think Elmer Lucky posted this like the founders of Anduril 2024 versus 2026 or whatever, Gemini, and is like, it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, no, I already, even like discourse and like being able to discuss all sorts of stuff that people would maybe think in private, and then people didn't feel comfortable enough to discuss. I think X has been a big deal, and getting people to feel more at ease to discuss whatever. And now people just say whatever they think, and it's great. At least we have the freedom to converge onto the truth. Now, do we can always converge on the truth? TBD, but at least we have the freedom to converge onto the truth. And to me, it's like freedom of speech. Now we have freedom of thought, augmented thought with AIs, not just captured by one or two players. And I'm happy that there's, I think at some point Grok was on top, and then OpenAI, OpenAI was untouchable. Grok was on top for a bit, and then Google gave them a run for their money, and then Anthropics like seemed untouchable now, for a little bit, and now Codex is back. Elon's gonna do a big comeback, I'm sure. He's going ham, and like it's good. Everybody benefits from competition, and ensures there's no like regulatory capture, like, oh, we're just gonna like stop making AI better and then just like progressively increase the price, and then you're stuck with us, and then we're gonna ban our competition, right? Which is like, that's one way to increase your margins, right? Hopefully it never gets to that, but that's why we got to keep fighting the good fight. And yeah.
No, I truly believe that, like Elon buying X is like insane or Twitter, I guess at the time. And then eventually like launching Grok, like all this stuff that people like, and even getting involved in politics. I feel like there was actually a very crucial moment that maybe it's easy to memory hole at this point.
Yeah.
But like I lived through it. I think a lot of other people did too. There's a moment like 2021, 2022, kind of at the height of COVID, where like things I think could have turned into a very dystopian sort of future. And there was a lot of authoritarian kind of like banning of a lot of free thinkers that were just kind of like giving their opinions, and they were experts on certain subjects, but they were being removed from certain platforms. It wasn't just political stuff. It was just even scientists were getting removed. And I think anyone that was aware of it was like, what the hell is going on? We're moving in a terrible direction. And I remember when Elon bought Twitter, a lot of those accounts came back, and they weren't just like far right thinkers or whatever. It was like people that were like studying like COVID and just like being like, what's going on with this, guys? And then all of a sudden they lose their account. Like
the original Beff account, right? I had one that posted the original post. I got banned for positing that COVID came from a lab, right? Because I read some of the studies, and I was like, this is very sus, and like, as a proper Bayesian, right? It's like you're very close to the Wuhan lab. It just makes total sense, right? It's like just posterior inference, and it's like totally reasonable thing to call out. But it's like, I don't know, it's just these institutions were so fragile, and they had so much power, or they could just shut you out of everything. And I don't know, it was like really dark times, and we can't go back to that. I don't know. We have the current admin, I think they're doing a lot of good stuff, and there's maybe stuff that people don't agree with their policies, but like we can't go back to the old model if another party gets selected, right? Like I don't know. I think we can't go back to, like, now that we've had a taste of freedom, we can't go back to, like, man, during the COVID days it was horrible and everything was shut down. And I mean, I was in Canada for a little bit and that was really bad. Like gyms were closed like forever. It was very, very difficult to do anything. I basically like lost 3 years of my life. I feel like it was pretty brutal. So not going back to that. And really, they didn't really have a solution. They were just locking things down. I think that eroded a lot of trust in institutions. And the reality is, like, just like we were discussing, like, you gotta, this is kind of decentralized DARPA for space. And that's why I really like the concept and I want to support it. But like, I really support people stepping up and building their own institutions, right? Like the new institutions are the way forward, right? By people who want things to be better. It's not just like, leaving the world to the caretakers of old institutions that have been here forever. They have no skin in the game. They don't care. They're not founder mode. And so nothing's fucking happening. They're always just trying to cover their ass and just shut down any opposition or any criticism. And that's how we got in that position, right? And so we want young institutions. We want, startups to supplant old entrants, right? Like it's or old institutions. And that's how we maintain dynamism of ideas and of execution. And it's the way we have functioning institutions. And a society without functioning institutions kind of crumbles. And so we kind of, you can just do things. You can just step up and do it. I was like, man, there needs to be like a freaking Manhattan Project for AI chips that are going to be power efficient and that are completely different, that are doing stochastic computing. And I just look around, nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it. And I was like, I guess I have to do it. I have to go out and do it and build the team and build this movement and to support it. And you could just do it, right? I mean, you've done this. You've launched how many people in space now? Like several, right? Like, yeah.
Sent 2, and we're working on 3 and 4 right now.
3 and 4. Oh, okay.
Yep. Well, that's what's going on here with well, I guess 1 hour left. We got a few more contributions.
Wow.
We've been talking. I haven't even been looking. Let me share my screen. So this is, we're sending the author of the Overview Effect. So this
Sweet.
is someone devoted his life essentially to shaping the culture of NASA and the space community. He interviewed several astronauts and kind of captured a lot of their optimism for the future of humanity and how we're going to evolve, and how we're going to essentially become a new species as we go out into the cosmos. And so he coined this term called the Overview Effect. And he was kind of like Beff before Beff.
I mean,
he came up with space philosophy. He's like your OG space philosopher, basically. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you just think about how small we are in the universe, I think, I call it like anthropocentric priors, right? Like sometimes we're just like so caught up in, our importance in the universe. It's like we're actually a small, precious state of matter on a small planet in a giant universe. And it kind of humbles you. It's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's also extremely exciting that there's so much out there to explore, and there's so much upside out there. So that's why I don't, I think people are too zero sum in their thinking right now. It's like, AI. It's like, oh, this is my place in the dirt. It's like, this is my job. It's like, actually, the work we do, the things we try to achieve will expand to fill up the available capacity to do stuff and to solve problems, right? And like, terraforming Mars and turning the moon into a bunch of factories and creating a Dyson swarm and like becoming multiplanetary, mastering our own biology, extending our lifespan, curing all diseases. These are all, things we want to achieve that are beyond our frontier of complexity. And, AI is our tool to tackle complexity in our world and be able to disentangle it and wield it. And you know, I think people just need to think bigger, and they need to think positive sum. And I think you know, that's kind of the EAC movement. It's like, hey, if you actually think in a positive sum fashion, you're gonna do well. And it's like hyperstitious, and it's true. Like people that are coding with 16 agents right now, they're way more productive than they were before. And then the people are like, oh, I don't like this AI stuff, and they're just doing their old-fashioned way. You know, I think they're not going to do as well, right? And it's like hyperstitious how open-minded you are. And I think there might be, you know, something similar with like space in general, right? It's kind of like, you know, America was founded by explorers, right? Like, so those with the explorer mindset, those that will want to go to space, to visit the moon base, to go to Mars. You know, if you found the first XYZ institution on Mars, you know, it might be, you know, a little startup at the beginning, but then eventually it scales massively. And then, you know, you have huge upside to doing that, right? There's huge upside to being a pioneer and an explorer. And, you know, I think it's very easy for people to be like, don't you like the thing you have right now? Why do you need to explore? It's like, if, you know, the Europeans said that to what would become the Americans, right? And then if it weren't for the now Americans who gone out, we wouldn't be here having this conversation, right? And so, and we wouldn't have you know, space exploration and all these beautiful technologies that were made in North America and invented here. And you know, so who knows what the next chapter of civilization is as we start to explore you know, the planets out there and establish new colonies and expand the scope and scale of civilization. There's gonna be just like so much awesomeness. We can't even fathom the awesomeness ahead, right? Like truly, we can't even paint the whole picture. So I don't know. I think you know, I think we have to accelerate to the stars. That's always that's the Beff line. And on that note, almost midnight for me, but you know, it's been awesome to stop by. We should do more live streams, random live streams like that. This is super cool.
This has been super fun.
Yeah.
Like almost, we're gonna keep going for one more hour here, but almost 15 hours, and it's been awesome.
Space-A-Thon properly. Yeah.
As you were talking, I was just thinking like, kids should be looking up to Magellan, Thomas Jefferson going into space, quantum mechanics, you know, like this.
Maybe you play me out with that video. It's such a good one.
Let's go.
I mean, you should post it on X after the stream. I think this ended up being a little kind of a podcast, so good content. Yeah, why not?
We can clip it and just throw it up on X. I mean, we're live streaming right now on X. This is going out on X.
Oh, this is on X. Oh, sweet. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're streaming on X, on YouTube. Different platforms.
Great.
Sweet.
All right. Well,
thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Follow me on X at Beff Jezos, and stay tuned for Extropic announcement. That's my shameless plug. And donate to MoonDAO. It's really cool what they're doing. I think, you know, having witnessed, you know, folks going to space funded by MoonDAO, and like how life-changing it is, and how, I don't know, there's just like this light in their eyes and excitement about their place in the universe afterwards. It's truly a gift, and I think more people should get to experience that. And it's a nascent industry. It's important for the future of civilization. So you're helping, nurturing an ecosystem that's very important to secure our future. So that's my closing statement. On that note,
Thank you, Beff.
Out. All righty. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.